So, 7 minutes passed, and let's start. Just let's see. Today we mostly have Anton. Where is Anton? He was here. Sorry. It is here. Okay, I saw it. So before starting, anybody would like to jump in with any topic, any comment, any update, any lovely sentences, any.
I can do small update.
No,
So-
before any technical content, any mention, any topic, any lovely sentence, you can tell, I love you guys.
Well, big love to everyone, and I want to apologize to Hidayah because I haven't followed through on my commitment yet to do some user stories for Leap, but it's in my head. I'm just tied up. So apologies and love you all.
I love you too, with also apologize, accepted apology. So, anybody else, any topic before starting officially? Notice, suggestion, recommendation?
I can go just very briefly. I'm starting to delve into community currencies, as in what is out there and the experience that people have. And I'm starting to discover Bernard Lietaer, and that's amazing. Like, if you don't know him, go.
Can you share the link? Is there anything you can share the link?
I mean, there is so much content out there. I will post something, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Just type his name, please, because I didn't understand it completely.
That's good.
I saw something in the news this week. There's talk of making Bitcoin illegal in Russia. I wonder if Nastasia knows about that and if she could say anything about that.
No, I know very little of Russia politics, only in relation of is it safe here? So no, no idea.
So, it seems that's it. Let's start today. I would like to ask Guillaume to update us a little bit about the mutual credit. Guillaume, is there any general topic you would like to add? Because the people I recognize, there was something, we had some issue. Would you please, for a couple of minutes, explain what is the status, what kind of bug we had, what we are going to do, what is the next step, a little bit fresh about the mutual credit application.
Yeah, that's great. So Jeff, I think everyone here knows about the mutual credit experiment. We started maybe 2 weeks ago. Last week was main like stress test and so on. So we did the test. Most of you actually were there and could hop inside. Jim, I know that you had the issue, and the same as Jacob. Sorry, that's a Holochain issue. Maybe we can see how we can resolve those issues. Anyway, we started the experiment. Maybe 7, 8 people started doing the offers and crediting and so on, which was great. And then after maybe 2 days, we started to see some issues on the DHT. Mainly vouchers were lost, were beginning to get lost. So the vouchers is the mechanism that the social triangulation uses to only invite people, only allow people that have been vouched by others already inside the network. So the DHT was starting to drop vouchers, thus making people unable to transact, basically. And this, we think it's not really an app level issue, it's a Holochain core issue. And right now we are beginning to test with Holochain 48, which is the next version, which has some DHT fixes on it. But honestly, right now our focus is to develop the next version more than testing, because we mainly got all the feedback we needed from this round of testing. If anyone wants to continue on getting, we'll help them, but we will be mainly focused on next steps. which basically will be being able to dynamically create your own currency. So a button that create mutual credit currency, input name, input credit limit, input initial members or whatever, boom, DNA cloned, and you can start your own community. And that should take like something of around 2-3 weeks. And actually, we are developing this in parallel with Nastasia and Hedayat, in parallel with LEAP, because we want to integrate LEAP payments into these mutual credit currencies. So that's a little bit the update on my part. If you have some questions, and actually, if you want to collaborate, like this is always open. Come to the GitHub and just start messing with the thing. It's always welcome.
Questions? Mutual credit.
Question from me, Martin. I'm curious as to the issue that was discovered about the DHT longevity last week, and where might we be tracking that, and who, what, where. So I haven't really hunted for this. I've just been lazy and waited till today to ask you directly.
In our side or in Holochain core side?
I don't know. You tell me which side.
Yeah. Yeah. So I told Eric Harris Brown about it, and they recommended me to try 48. Holochain core version 48. I did some tests it was this weekend, and I basically let the test run for all night. 1,000 users trying to get in the network and so on, trying to simulate the conditions of the experiment. And both 47 and 48 were failing at around 700 users. There's really not much that we can do about this, because we could spend a whole lot of time trying to get into where the DHT didn't help the aspect and so on, but we don't have a very good logging and debugging infrastructure with the core itself. Right now, we will be focused more on development than debugging this, because we think it's more interesting, and this will be solved on Holochain core sooner, we think. I will try to keep you updated on my communication with the core team as well.
Yeah, that would be useful actually. So my sense is that if you like, imagine we had a test harness, yeah, which was because it's like the interface, isn't it, between core, and then there's this kind of gap of some unknown sort of characterization, and then there's us trying to actually figure out the basic building blocks to put on top of that. So in that sort of unknown characterization of sort of what's in between, could be a test harness, couldn't it? That is, or something like that, which we have to sort of simulate and try out our work. It's important, I think, for building credibility as well with the people we're serving as we build.
You mean at the test harness, as in something like Triorama does, or something more?
Actually, yes. But Triorama is more on I don't know. It's not quite unit testing, is it? But it's it's in a very local context, and I'm just talking about, well, now how do we kind of simulate?
Right.
Because
yes.
I mean, imagine the way you kind of test pre-distributed apps or whatever. You kind of spin out some kind of reasonably effective simulation of scale. If it's a microservices architecture, you do that. Otherwise, you don't know how it's going to behave, really.
Right. Yeah. And actually, I think that the Holochain core team wanted to incorporate that at some point, but I haven't heard about that for a while. Good point. I will try to.
Yeah, I mean, it's about priority, and it's not. I wouldn't be suggesting to try and reprioritize sort of core or anything like that. But in terms of communicating about it, that helps us all kind of plan and navigate and pass on the right messages further, I think.
Thank you, Martin. I love the topic. I added to my Excel sheet. I have an Excel sheet that all the topic, and like a smoke test, like a pressure test, something like that. That there is no need to go for that.
Are you
yeah.
okay, Hedaya? Are you happy to share that, or is it just your own a reflection of your own magical mind? I say that with
you
greatest
put me in
respect.
a dilemma. No.
It's up to you.
I'm gonna imagine you didn't.
Choice.
I'm gonna imagine you didn't ask me something, but we will see later.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't really understand, but that's fine.
I was kidding.
Okay.
The thread that Guillaume is supposed to create, it was the initial suggestion. Guillaume mentioned that we are going to have a backlog for the content of virtual Hackalong. I would put there. Yeah, got it? Yeah. Somehow I'm kidding, Martin. Yeah. So, any other question about mutual credit that we can summarize?
Last week, I was asked to post on the forum my situation that I couldn't get it installed, couldn't get Holo running with the being able to load the file. So I posted on the forum instead of using the time here, but I didn't get any responses.
Why I didn't see? Can you share what happened?
I posted it on the mutual credit forum right after our call last week.
Go ahead, Kim.
Yeah, it was on the a response in the mutual credit experiment.
Okay, would you please create a thread? It was my question for today. It is in my list that anybody fix the problem? Would you please share your reply to the post? So maybe I missed it.
Did I put it in the wrong place?
No. I was expecting a thread forum, not a reply to the post. Do you know what do I mean?
Well, I guess I posted it in the wrong place.
No. Did you create a standalone thread or you reply to the mutual credit thread?
I replied to the mutual credit.
Okay. Would you please create, because it is the unknowing issue. We are going to refer everybody. It is really hard to tell. And that's why I didn't see that, because somehow I'm really busy. I'm just escape. Because in the mutual, it is a bunch of posts. Okay, wait a second. First of all, anybody was struggling this one could fix it? Can you raise your hand that with the Holo REA that you could fix it? So no. Okay. Jim, would you please create a standalone forum thread in one category? Which category? Yeah. Is there anything for Holo?
Technical discussion, maybe.
Technical discussion, yeah. And just mention the issue of a Holo Escape version. Ding, this one, because.
Can I move this? Can I move this post there, or do I repost it?
No. It is a post. It should be a standalone thread. It means create a thread. Create a thread. Okay, I will create, but just mention you continue this one. Okay, I will create that one. I will create a thread. I would mention, because I think I have the same issue in one of my PC. So continue. Jim and anybody else, it was my question that who still have this Holo Escape, I would continue thread. I will try to reply. If we cannot fix that issue, maybe the next time this meeting, we would specify the time exactly we go for that issue. It is okay?
Sure. So you're going to make the thread, or you're making it?
If you can do it, fantastic. If you are mixed up with the post and thread, I will do that. Which one would you like? Well, I will make a thread, I will ping you. I will make a thread, I will ping you.
Okay.
So, Roberto wanted to talk, please.
So when I started experimenting with the mutual credits, the first thing that I did was like be very generous and dish credits around. And yeah, there were 3 transactions, but basically none of them passed except the one to Guillaume twice. So I don't know if it was something with the interface or something that happened because I saw that there was something with the validation. Maybe I really don't know. So I don't know how to recreate it as well, but just maybe a heads up that maybe there is something around there. There was a double spent, one transaction with double spent.
Yeah,
And,
I think.
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think we need to revise at the what happened there. I had that in my backlog, but thanks for reminding me. I think we should revise all the security guarantees that we have put in place, because I think that the transaction was accepted twice, and this is why you couldn't do any transaction afterwards, because you were marked as doing something unusual. And it may have to do with clicking the accept validation button 2 times for the same offer, and then not having protection there, as in have I already accepted this transaction or not? Thanks for pointing that out.
Right, and another maybe lame question, but how do you back up your keys? Because on a Holoscape, because I yeah wanted to format my computer, but I said then I'm gonna have to get a new validations again to re-enter. So yeah.
That's a very, very good question. So right now, the short answer is you can't. The long answer is that you can copy your private keys from the Holochain folder. So the keys are there, and you can copy and put them in a USB or whatever. The thing is that when you put the new Holoscape installation, Holoscape doesn't let you put the agent you want. So actually you're trapped right now. And I think that, yeah, and that feature would actually make my life much easier on creating the experiment. So it's a feature that we all want very much into Holoscape, being able to set your own keys, not the auto-generated one.
Thank you.
So I have a question actually following up to that. So that means that if you look at DHT now, you should see a warrant in there because of the double spent.
Okay, so don't tell anyone, but warrants don't work yet at all.
Okay.
Like, entries are marked invalid, and when you do get entry, it returns nothing, but there are no warrants flying around. That's not implemented.
Okay, so that means, okay, so that entry would just be marked invalid, but then that agent shouldn't be basically kicked out of the network, right? You should still be able to continue doing what you do. Is that right?
That's right, but then our security checks come in at the app level. And at the app level, what we are doing is, how many transactions have you attested in the DHT?
Mm-hmm.
1? Okay, let me see your source chain. Hey, there are 2 transactions here. So
I see.
This does not.
It's not aligned.
Unusual.
Gotcha.
No.
Gotcha. Thank you for the explanation. Yeah.
So, almost 30 minutes before we are going to go to Anton. So, I would like, because Anastasia is gonna update, but maybe she cannot wait for a little bit delay. I would like to postpone, but let's hear Anastasia. She's working in the lib, and the part of the course. She's gonna update for, I think, a couple of minutes. Anastasia, please.
Thank you. So this is just a quick update. We were working with Hadayat on reorganizing Leap for the new architecture that he talked about last week. So one interesting thing I noticed is the first version of Leap that we were developing was working in a single DHT where everyone was creating some content, but not all content that you have relation to. So you are storing all the content, parts of all the content, even if you don't have any relation to this, even if you do not participate in this course, even if you are not a teacher of course. So this sharing of information presented additional difficulties. So we had to introduce more links between entries. We had to introduce more fields in the entries, such as storing teacher address in each of the courses, modules, and contents, just to be able to see who is able to access this entry and who is able to modify it. And so a very beautiful pattern that I see when moving from this architecture to one where we have a separate DNA for every course is that we now have significantly less information to check and to store. So for example, if a person is able to create a DNA for their course, they are automatically a creator of this new DNA. So they have like the entire universe of content that they have created, and they are now inviting other people to join. And so in this new course DNA, we don't have to store teacher address because we already know who created this DNA, and this is stored in the parameter, not in the DHT. And so this removes not only additional fields, but also links, because now, previously, if you are a student in a particular course, this is written into a DHT entry that implements link between your agent address and the course entry that is stored on the shared DHT. But now, if you are a student in the course, it simply means that you have a DNA of this course running on your application. So you don't have to check any links, any entries. You just, do you have this DNA or not? And if you have this DNA, do you have the address of your agent written in this DNA as a teacher? If not, you are a student. So this allows us to reduce amount of calculations that we do on every entry validation. And that's just a basic observation. So I think more Holochain apps should be using this idea of multiple DNAs for multiple groups of people who want to share the information. And yeah, that's just, if you have too much information on EDHT and too many links, maybe your architecture needs to be redesigned to allow more separate DNAs and remove some of this information. So that's just it.
I love it. Anybody got the point? It is mostly, I'm gonna short it up, don't worry. It was mostly about the course content. Some of you are not involved. I'm gonna summarize in that way. If you are a god of the universe, there is no need for you to appear and prove you in any creature. So, and that's why you believe in God, but you don't see him because it is you. So previously, mostly we were designing one DNA and anybody could do anything inside the universe, that we were detecting God as a validation rule. And right now, we recognize that God is the creator of DNA. So God is not going to prove himself, and I don't know why the people are going to come to us and say they are coming from a God. By the way, it was the whole simple thing, but it was beautiful when we recognize, oh, come on. We put teacher ID in any entry to say, oh, you cannot edit because you are not a teacher, and the teacher is God of the whole entry. There is no need to prove it. That's it. It was a simple design, but it's gonna be everywhere. Future, I think it's gonna be beautiful. We talked a lot. Any question? I'm gonna pass through the
Think
Anton.
when it
Yeah.
simplifies like that, you're getting confirmation that you're doing the right thing. Like when the design starts to collapse and you're taking out fields, it always seems to me like things are going right. We made a right decision. You don't need the teachers. You don't need, and she said, like she said, you don't need the students because they couldn't be in the universe if they weren't students. All of that, it just that that makes me smile. You're doing the right thing.
So thank you, Nastasia. Thank you, all of
Actually,
you.
sorry, I have a question. I missed something
Yeah.
that you said, Nastasia. You said it's passed in parameter, not in DHT. Sorry, I missed that part of it. Can you just repeat
Yeah,
that?
sure. So we save the teacher address as one of the parameters of DNA. And so if I create a course for Holochain basics, I have the parameter of my teacher address and I think some other strings. So then if you join my course of Holochain basics, you have these parameters to launch the same DNA that everyone has for the course,
Got
and
you.
they will determine that you join this particular course and not something else.
Okay, got you. So is that's like one of the config properties for the
Yeah.
DNA? Is that right? Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure.
Just to map, that's actually using the progenitor pattern. If you have heard about that on the forum and whatnot, here the progenitor is the teacher of the course. And the progenitor address is input as a property in the DNA before the DNA is created.
Got you. Thank you.
No question. Okay. Thank you, Natasha. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So right now we are gonna go to Anton today, that is supposed to talk, share, and to see how we can bombard him with questions and then support him, like always. Anton, please.
Okay, so let's talk about handling GPS data by agents. So it's basically only in the idea stage, and I was planning to have a call with Arya Bhatta and with Kelly, a guy from Northern America, but didn't manage to do it because of different time zones. But basically, I did not talk about it with anyone else, so what I have is still only my ideas. And I am looking to create a microservice that could store the GPS data that agents produce in a way that is easy to keep private, but at the same time to be able to compare it with GPS data from other agents, to be able to create routes and to calculate, to compare similar routes. That's the main ideas. So, and basically, I have a I have a easy basic idea how to store GPS data that the agent produces, but the harder part for me was how would we compare routes of different agents, because that could be a very useful function.
Go ahead. If you design something, would you please share, and where are you exactly? What did you design? What is your challenge, that we can hear more and more?
Everything that I thought about, as I said, I'm alone on this for now, but everything I've done is by pencil and paper mostly, but the main ideas are still summarized in the GPS handler on the forum. But does it make sense to screen share it? Okay, it's my first time, so don't kill me. ATMD screen sharing is disabled.
Are you sure it is here?
Yeah.
For me, a screen share, the button, green button is enabled. Anybody else?
For me
Yeah,
too.
when I click it, it's enabled. Okay.
Can you try now?
Yeah, I can. So it's. Can you see it?
I don't see anything. I don't see a screen share. When you press a button, the display is coming.
I have to press share still. Okay, just wait, wait a moment.
Don't pressure. Feel free.
Yeah. Okay. I also posted in the chat, so you can, but it's easy to find by name.
Can you make a little bigger, please? It looks like tiny little dots to me. Thank you.
Okay, so blah blah blah, and these functions would enable carpooling of neighbors that share almost identical route to work but don't know about each other. That's the main thing for me that I want to arrive at somehow, and that's the most interesting usage for me, for being able to compare routes, but I don't know. So, and had I asked you on the forum about the name of the tool that you use to draw during presentations?
Okay.
You know how it
Yeah, the name is draw.io. It is the things I'm always using. Draw.io. This one. This one. Draw.io. Yes.
Okay, so just let's stay with this idea, how to write down down the GPS data that the agent's device is producing, how to write it down to the agent's Holochain runtime or whatever, and then maybe try to look at together at ideas how the data can be sewn into routes, and how these routes can be then the third step, how if these routes can be compared between agents.
Would you like, why you ask about the draw? Would you like to open a draw and let's see what can happen?
Yeah, just if I can write down ideas maybe.
Yeah, you can even right now do it right now. We can help you. Yeah, it's gonna be fun. Maybe we can design together here.
Okay.
If it is free for you, no pressure, a smile, no pressure, okay?
So what do you think? How to really?
Right now, anybody has any idea? Guillaume, would you like to jump and share your thought, maybe anything in your mind?
Yeah, like this, I think is a very good topic, in the sense that it's a functionality that a lot of applications will need, but it's not an application on its own. And this is a pattern that I think we will see a lot in Holochain. So I think it's important that we talk about these kinds of patterns. In this case, the main thing that comes into mind is how do we structure the DNAs so that privacy is preserved.
Yes.
Right. So, Anton, have you thought about that?
Yes, but I didn't venture any deep into it, because I lack the ability to see how the DNA should be written down correctly and
Hmm.
all the best practices that you are already used to.
Can I go ahead and share something? Because I was following this thread for some time and I have been giving some thoughts. Though what a problem that Anton is mentioning about GPS and road calculation, so that was too far-fetched at the beginning. Even like I couldn't wrap my heads around it. But when it came to the specific, for example, I was just experimenting with the Bing Maps and Google Maps. So they have zooms. They have zoom levels starting with 0, 1 all the way to 21. So that's the range that they have. So when you go at 21, it's basically right over your house with like 6 or 8 tiles. 6 or 8 tiles will make up your house. So, and that is like each tile will be by 256 by 256 pixels, something like that. So that was a very awesome thought that was coming to my head, is that all right, those itself could be my private DNA to, like, I will have it by myself. I will store and link all the information along with it. Whereas, like, let's say the Zoom, like say 10, Zoom 10, that can be something that helps me coordinate with others. So those were some of the thoughts I was getting on how those things can be leveraged with established, like what do you say, coordinate system that they are using, because they are using two different systems. Bing is using Mercator Sphere system, and then the other one is using some other coordinate system. So they have their own unique flavor. Along with that, some other thoughts. I was like that. That's it. Right now, I just want to throw this because there were other thoughts also. But for now, this is what I had, and I can also share something if you like on that same thought process. I was just trying to pattern something. So if people want to see, I can just show something.
Yeah, just if you manage to put it together, just post it to the GPS handler thread.
No, it's not public. I'm not sharing it. It's on my document, and I'm just keeping it for myself because it's my own thought process that I'm trying to capture. So it's not for any application I'm doing, as much as I'm trying to hash out my own thought process on how to create that. Because as William mentioned, that it's like this is a functionality. You need to break it into pieces, and then this piece that I'm working on is the identity piece of it. Like, how do I core identity piece of it in the GPS kind of an idea where everyone can be traced to that particular like place where they are, and that is the image in which you're storing that information then. So it's becoming
sorry to interrupt. You're talking about something you have, and you are not going to share in the forum. Is there anything you would like to share right now? For example,
I can show the same document.
Do it.
Yes, I can show it over here. Yeah.
Don't hesitate. Do it. Okay.
Okay.
Do it. I got the point.
I just wanted to say that what you mentioned before, Arabiata, sounded more like a part of the UI side of the application about the zooming and this kind of stuff. It's like it's a thing of interpretation and GUI mostly, I guess. But it falls into.
Sorry to interrupt both of you. Wait. Can you stop sharing right now? Would you please stop sharing?
Yes, sorry.
Stop. We are recording and we are going to put it in the forum. If there is something, your personality and sensitive, we can we, Guillaume, is there any possibility to pause recording or stop recording?
No need for that. I am fine like sharing it, but I'm not fine like sharing the link.
That's
you see,
continue.
So I'm fine sharing it. Like these are ideas, and let it flow like that.
You released me. Continue. That's it.
Yeah. Thank you for that. But no, I'm not that private also. All right, I'll go share. And also, it's just like just the idea and what somebody was mentioning, like about it being like a UI kind of a thought process. Who mentioned that? I think some.
Anton did.
Anton did. Okay.
That's what I understood from what you were saying before. That.
Okay. So let's try that out then.
About zooming and interpreting the coordinates, it's more a thing of a UI, I guess.
Okay. Let's try from that UI perspective, thought process. So because the way you're right, Anton, that is why I liked where you're going with it. So I'll just share from that perspective. So how I was thinking of this document, this is just a Google Drive doc that I have, and how I was thinking of threading it. So firstly, it's a browser load. So I was thinking of using the two services that is already there, Bing and Google Maps. And how do I load the two services to do what I want to do in my private thing? So I already am connected to the world and using their services to do what I want to do. And I have that data and I have the control rather than they. So something like that. It's just thoughts, so nothing concrete. So browser load contains something. So that's the load that is containing something. Browser load may have tabs in it, may have a lot of tabs in it, book like all together, grouped or maybe whatever. Other than that, after the browser load has happened, you have a image driver. So this is where I wanted to have the HTML logic or ML being used to basically have the image being driven. So I'm driving my experience or the user experience through images. So the flow is by the images are flowing. Images are flowing. And this is like just a structure of the images that I've created. And it's a pattern in there. If you look into it carefully, you will realize that first it starts with a Google Drive plain image, and then there is an image of that image, and then it's picture in picture, image in image, image in image, image in image, to basically create a flavor for the ML to learn, or that neural network to learn, or whatever that's going to happen to learn, to help them learn. And then here, what is this here? That is what I wanted to have the cognizant, like that. How do you make the ML not just what do you say, like interpret an image and just categorize it, but I wanted them to interpret my words, because that is a solid anchors, and that is much more useful, and that is more easy to deal with than having categorization and like just categorize it, something like that. So here, this is the word I wanted them to understand. This is here. We are here. And what is here? What is here is the mouse is here. This is what? This is what is the mouse. As you can see over there, the line, that is the mouse. But so mouse is here, mouse is traveling, mouse is traveling, mouse is traveling, mouse is traveling, and it will travel, 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 and it has its own flavor. More images are coming, and this is the browser load. Now this is the browser load that is pulling up. You can have a look. Is the browser load is also having a very distinct what do you say, flavor in it. When it comes to images, they are images of the almost the same dimension, you could say, or kind of like it has the same dimension mostly. So in there, it's starting with Chandler Analytics. That is where I am. Chandler Analytics is my thought process. Okay, this is what I'm trying to do as a, say, an organization. Chandler Analytics, I want to do it. So this is where within the, it's like I'm trying to now describe my load, what is my load like. And then within my load, I have this images. What I did here, you can classically see the Bing service. I pulled the Bing service, and within the Bing service, when you go to their what do you say, inspect element, within that inspect element, you go to the application. Within that application, you go to the images, or like they have the section where the images are there, basically getting loaded within the browser. So those are the list of images, and those are the images with the, what do you say, the number and the JPEG and all those things, and you can like see those images there. So, and it's going on.
Arya, just to because I think I'm following, but I'm not so sure. We may need some clarification. So if I'm understanding correctly, you're trying to think about how do we combine data from our private GPS history, let's say, with services that are already there, like Bing or Google Maps or something like that, to have a much better UX, a UX the same that we have right now with Google Maps. Am I right? This is the goal here?
Nah, I'm not trying to combine with their service as much as I'm trying to exploit their service.
Right, but you're trying to basically put a Google Map interface, and on top you put the your GPS data, basically. Okay, then I'm not understanding.
Yeah,
Okay.
so the basically right now what like these are still thoughts, fluid. So keep open, keep questioning, and try to get this clarification because it helps me clarify also what I'm trying to do. The reason it's like what I see that they like these images are there. I'll just go quickly to the pattern quickly, and then we can come back to this clarification. So I'll just go to the pattern quickly. This is the browser, and this is the image. This is my home. This is where I live. So this is my home, and the thing is, you'll see a classic difference. When I go, this is the above one over here. If you see this part, this is the Bing image. Bing image has a specific URL in a different flavor. It has a very different flavor of a URL. And now we are at a, what do you say, a URL of Google Maps. They have a different flavor. So that's a different flavor. And the ideally, if you think about it, image wise, if it's my same image from both services, should be the same, right? Logically speaking, should be the same because it's the same house, right? Not necessarily, but with say with some training, you can make that happen. To link the two services, you can make that happen to identify that this is it. So this is you. So because this is like not necessarily, yeah.
Arya, I'm not following you, and I want to be sure that is there any relation with the GPS? I didn't get it. Is there anybody else getting the point that how this topic helping Anton about a location or something like that? Can you also make it clear, Arya?
I only wanted to work with the 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 numbers of the GPS output of agent's device, nothing else for now.
Okay,
Right.
so Arya, if there is in something in common and related to GPS, please make it clear. Otherwise, let's go back to Anton.
You wanted something to be able to recognize your position by similarity to map photos, right?
I think as Hidayat is trying to do, bring us back to where we were rather than having a detour, because what this is doing is getting us detoured. Because it's not, as I said, Anton, before we going there, I'm not thinking on the same lines as you are. Of my end goal is not calculating measures as much as I'm starting with the fundamental building blocks. And this is from me is more like a fundamental building blocks of identifying that particular person and that particular like identity. So it's different. So let's not get detoured. Let's go back where we are having that conversation.
Okay.
Because it doesn't help your quest. I agree with it on that.
I think the common denominator, though, might be what they call value matching. The two things you both are trying to accomplish, but outside GPS is more the mechanism to find the true state of value and then match it with the need. And maybe that's where they're both in. And I've thought of this too, that maybe from an app perspective, like Guillaume created a mutual credit system, which, he didn't say, hey, I'm going to solve this specific problem through gaming. He created the skeleton of making all games. And maybe value matching is the kind of strategic framework that needs to be built, because that's where efficiency comes in. And I think what you're looking at is like, how do you find the true state of value of the agent, and then to match it with something else? And that's what Anton's saying. How do I find my course to work and then other people that have that same, And so maybe I think that's the commonality of the language you're both speaking. And that might be the truer problem to solve, is how do you create an app that matches value? First, find your true state of value and then match it.
I think thank you for catching that.
So I would suggest let's go back to Anton. That if Anton, please continue. If you also got, thank you, Arya. Thank you for sharing. I appreciate that. Anton, please continue. If you got something you would like to design to do something.
I would have to ask Guillaume what are his thoughts about the first basic thing, how to write down the data that the agent's phone or device produces. Like let's say each minute you write down the GPS data that the device produces. How would that be done?
Like for me, writing down the data is actually easy, depending on the GPS coordinate system you use or whatever. Uh, like getting the data on the DHT is rather the easy part. I see two complications or two design problems we need to design for, which are one, indexing and search. So with GPS data, you need to do queries like give me all the points in the system in this square or something like this. And this is not provided by Holochain built in. You need to think about indexing. You need to think about links. We can go there. And also, once before you start committing the data, that DNA, who has access to that DNA? Is it your personal DNA? Is it your family's DNA because you want to share GPS data with everyone in your family because you're okay with that? Or maybe it's a small community DNA, and then how do we validate that only people from that small community get there by location? Depending on what direction you want to go.
Yeah, so it's about access to the recorded data.
Right. So like the first thing that comes to mind is doing this personal or family very close DNA, right? That only people you trust and you invite can enter. That's like my first instinct, right? Because then you have there all your information, and you have your Holo Maps small application, which tells you basically you can have there recorded any GPS related information about any Holochain system. So if you think about it, you go to a restaurant, you do a Holo review, a review in a Holochain process or whatever, and that can be GPS marked on your personal application, on your personal DNA that handles GPS data, right? So you end up with a really interesting thing, which is your own little Google Maps in a way, your own little Holo Maps in which you have a map of everything you have marked with GPS data across all Holochain applications, which is actually pretty interesting. And then we can think about patterns of how to share that. Is that UX thing in which people go, okay, let me share the route, but only the route I do from work to home with this more global, more open DHT, so that then we can find routes. How do we say share only this data, not share only the commute data and not my weekend hobbies or whatever, right? Yeah, and we can talk then about how do we prevent people from outside the community to enter the community based by geolocation.
Interestingly, I just caught something. What William just mentioned is that firstly is a trail. You creating your own flow of travel. Like for example, you're going to work. You are creating your own like say a file or a flow. You're capturing a flow which then you want to share with others so that they can use it. Now, whether you want to share it with your personal data in it or not, like how do you want to share that flow that others can use? Something like that. I don't know whether it makes.
Okay, I'm gonna also add something here, maybe can help you, Anton. From my side, we need to split up the topic. Like always, let's come back here. The things that right now we are experiencing about the location, Google, it is the mixture of a lot of things. Let's make the things a little bit split it up, make things simple and clear, and then go cover each of them step by step. The things that we know about the location, it is map, Google map, it is location, it is traffic, which is live, it is the it is a routing all of them. You see many of them connected to GPS has a different meaning, different functionality, and different usage. For example, let's go here. It is the Earth. As you can see, we can split it up with different cells. It means one solution that Max was talking about, it was about the dating. It means you can say in Germany, for example, for any I don't know other countries, even in Europe, any region, we have a specifically this code, you know. So it means all this region, it is this code. This is area code, definitely, but it is in German, it is totally precise. So the topic that Alex one time mentioned, it means in that case, geolocation is going to be used inside for such sort of application like dating, like living location, so something like that. The design should be specified, then we can see what kind of a solution we can provide. I don't think so we can provide a one solution to cover all of them. Another one can be to routing. So let me continue this one. It's this one, it is like the cell phone. Cell phone are working something like that. It means if you have a mobile here, if you are in the road, and you see tick, 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 and your antenna is going and coming, it's because you are passing through each cell. How can I say? Come on, come here. So it means when you are trafficking between the cell, it is passing through each cell. It means maybe we can say you are belong to that one. It means, Antoine, you need to write it down more in detail that what is the expectation of the GPS location. You are going to save one location here to attach to the zone and to find the best way. It means what is the closest cell to me? Who is closest area to me? I'm going to use it in a dating. Okay, who is the closest? Find the closest restaurant and vice versa. It was my point. Maybe it can help. That's it.
If I understand it correctly, then it's similar to what Maurice Building suggested, the what's the rewards system.
Exactly, it can not exactly. It can be. In that case, we have like a mutual credit. In the mutual credit that currently we experience, the most important point that two party cannot. It means the history of your transaction is private. So, but just imagine the mutual credit is going to be used for NGO. NGO are 100% transparent. So they need a mutual credit currency with a published transaction inside the DHT. It means we need to have a new design of a mutual credit currency. Exactly like a location. Guillaume mentioned about the privacy. I'm not going to put my location inside the DHT. It is another usage. If you are going to have the location of your restaurant, you want to put your location in DHT. You want to put your data availability and anybody can search you, anybody can find you. And that's why I'm asking, what is the user of GPS? How you are going to use it? What is the purpose of this GPS is really important. Live routing, finding the closest way, so that's it.
Yeah, or just marking where you use the application at what time to be able to share it with people in your group or in your, yeah, maybe there are different use cases.
And when you do that, that itself is a currency. If, for example, you found a short route to your work, or maybe without the traffic, or maybe you found an exotic location where you want to go, you want to share with few folks, that's your currency that you could share, give suggestions, just FYI.
Mm-hmm.
Anton, to clarify, or part of the question in a way, how to actually run some algorithm which compares the paths without leaking data anywhere? Is it about having some process run on the data, like compute to data? Um, is this part of what you're trying to solve?
Yes, it is, but I also don't know how it should look.
Yeah, okay. So what I'm imagining, because still not sure if I'm clear on like on the use case, but like in a way you want to have like what you want is actually some specific outputs which says, hey, I have crunched some data and I have found that those two patterns are similar according to some metrics. And it can be like the pattern is I don't know, it can be encoding of anything, right? It doesn't necessarily, like GPS path is just a pattern encoded in some specific coordinates. So what you're aiming for, if I'm hearing correctly, part of it is how to find ways, like how to run a specific algorithm on the data without leaking it away. So part of it could be like you are inviting a verified piece of code which is going to do the computations at your place. So, but I'm still not sure if this is actually the gist of what you're asking, or if
Yeah, you get it right. I'm just trying to find how it could be done and if it could be done.
Mhm.
And the use case should be if you find two or more users that have similar routes, they can share one car instead of each going alone to the city and saving space that way. But there are more use cases for recognizing similar routes of different agents.
So I just wanted to add something to what Jacob just mentioned. It was kind of interesting because when I was thinking myself, since it was my home and I was trying to map it and things like that, I wanted to run the algorithm on my machine so that I'm utilizing the URLs or the images of Google and Bing to process my thing and then put it into encoded, as he rightly used the word encoded. And then that is the encoding I'm sharing with someone else. Whereas the application, which is translating, ticking in that app encoding, and then inferring it for the other person with whom I'm sharing that encoded messages.
Do you mean that you would be sharing not the exact route as a sequence of GPS coordinates, but some version of pre-processed route, which does not give the exact location, but gives the gist of where you're going and how long the path?
Yeah,
Yeah.
or could be obfuscated by some type of encryption or. But if once the encryption method is recognized, then you can get all the movement data exactly. So I don't know if it would be a way around it, like to change the encryption algorithm from time to time, or how to do it. But I'm not sure. Willem?
I have a question. So, agent ID, would it be the same for all DNAs and for all applications in which the same agent participates, or would it be different for multiple applications?
Yeah, that's a great question actually, and it influences a lot of the designs we are doing. So you can say use the same agent ID for this other DNA I'm installing, but the default is a new agent ID per DNA.
Perfect. So if I install the application for the route sharing, I have ID number 1, let's say, and if I share my routes as anonymized data, and then someone else sees these routes and they send me a request like, hey, I want to check with you if we can share the same car. Here is my data. My profile is not anonymous. Would you like to get de-anonymized for this particular request, so that I see to whom I'm providing my data? And then if this person is interested in my route, they would not be able to participate in the same DNA with me in other application, like whatever else, and then figure out my agent ID and trace it back to me.
I think we should count on you can trace back different agents ID for the same, at least the same deep key identity master.
Okay.
So in deep key, you are doing things like add new private key, revocate private key, authorize or whatever, and that's a normal Holochain application. So I think we should count on people going into deep key and saying, okay, this key actually authorized this one, so we can link. I wouldn't assume anonymity just because you don't know this new agent ID, because I think it can be traced back in other contexts you are part of as well.
Okay.
Okay, yes, I had one comment about what this discussion, which is very interesting about, okay, we want to come out with common routes so that we can share a car or whatever, but we don't want to give away privacy. Is there a way of doing some encryption method or some encoding and so on? And my instinct tells me there is basically no way. So if you need to combine different route data and so on inside an algorithm so that the algorithm does some matching between routes, it should be as clear as possible. Otherwise, the algorithm will go a little nuts. You won't be able to do machine learning on this because actually, if all the data is private, you won't have data to learn. So going something like more traditional AI, Dijkstra, or more traditional algorithms, I think it's a much better bet. And in that case, you need routes and GPS points to be as clear as possible. It cannot be around that, or maybe you can develop something like that, but it will, I think it will drop in reliability very, very fast. So I would.
You mean in reliability in hiding the privacy of the routes, or?
No, reliability in matching routes.
In matching, okay.
So if I modify a little bit my route and I say, okay, instead of from my house to Barcelona, for example, I might go to work. Instead of exact coordinates, I do city to city. Okay, that might work, but you are not hiding that much privacy there. If you're saying I'm going from one part of the country here to that part of the country there, then the algorithm can drop in reliability very fast. Like, it's much difficult for the algorithm to do matching because now your route actually includes all this diffuminated area that actually collides with another diffuminated area of another route of another people, and so the algorithm can go, oh yeah, matching here, and actually there's no matching, things like that. I would encourage much more the only share your private data with the people you trust route than the let's try to cryptographically obfuscate things. This is my instinct.
Why do we need Holochain at all in this use cases actually? Well, the Holochain is supposed to answer any use cases. It means just a follow. It is the online trafficking, DHT. Should we use the Holochain at all? Yeah.
It seems to me that this is like, if you generalize the problem, so this is what a lot of AI kind of AI projects or enterprises are trying to solve, because they want to feed some data to some trusted algorithm without it leaking. So you want to be sharing the data, but you don't want them correlated. So I think it's partially the problem of data enclaves or like trusted third-party computation or compute to data, like how to actually somehow chain on the computations either at your side or like doing some chain, or having some kind of escrow third party which is doing the computation through verified code or like in a trusted environment, something like that. I think Ocean Protocol is like solving a lot of those questions, at least conceptually. So perhaps there can be some inspiration, at least in terms of patterns, if yeah, again, if I get the use case correctly.
Ocean Protocol, does it use, sorry, just to follow up, thank you. This Ocean Protocol, you're still sharing your data, right, with them to run through the algorithm?
I think because I didn't look like deep into what they're doing, but what it seemed to me that like part of their value proposition is that they are actually providing a solution when you can share the data to some trusted enclave or to some trusted kind of service, or that you can run the computation on your machine or in some decentralized place or distributed space where you rest assured that the data are not being leaked outside of the algorithm. But I'm not sure like on the specifics. Yeah, would need to look into that more. Yeah.
I'm feeling something. It comes to me, the privacy comes down to a Zoom level. Like, I don't mind sharing to everybody that I'm in Albuquerque. Like, you couldn't go to Albuquerque and get off the plane and start going, all right, Jim, where are you? Right? Like, because Albuquerque is too big for that. Right? But if I tell you my exact street address, right now people can show up at my house. So if in a rideshare application, when I think about if I wanted to be able to get rides somewhere, I would say something like, I need to go from Northeast Albuquerque to the South Valley on Tuesday, right? And that doesn't tell exactly where I am. But once I get in touch with the person and I vet them through some kind of conversation, then I'll say, okay, this is my address, or let's meet at this known spot nearby. So with the known spots, like if you somehow got you could ask the people to enter landmarks, or you could provide a set of known landmarks, call the landmarks out of Google or something. I mean, I could probably find a list of 200 landmarks in Albuquerque, right? Or Google probably give you 200 landmarks in any city. And then instead of giving exact coordinates, you can use each of those landmarks as an anchor and say, okay, yeah, I'm going to share my data. I go by this bridge every day, and I go by this, and I end up in Northeast Albuquerque. And then you have some way of telling whether the things are similar, because you could see if you could pull through the anchors, I guess, and see if there's multiple people at that anchor, and if there's same people are showing up at different anchors, then they have something similar. That would be some kind of process that would run in the background, scanning through all the anchors to see if they have similar people that are going by them. So I guess to me the question is, what's the Zoom level? Because as long as your Zoom level is out enough, then you don't care about the privacy. You just want to see if you're passing the same landmarks every day, and then you could maybe implement that kind of service. Do you see does that make sense?
Yes, makes sense a bit. Yeah. So maybe, yeah, go on ahead.
No, I just wanted to say Josh is raising hand. I just want to say, Josh, go ahead. Yeah.
So go ahead, Josh.
Well, I was going to say, go ahead, Anton, since it's your kind of thing. But I'm just thinking, riffing on Jacob's thing, I think I have a semi kind of solution. So we can talk if you don't want to. Okay, well, yeah, go ahead.
I just wanted to say that it's also the anchor, but I hear my
Josh, can you please mute?
okay. I think it's a nice idea what Jim described with the anchors, but what I forgot to mention is that it would be nice. It may be a good idea to limit the reach of the application for the routes that can be compared to let's say a circle of 10 kilometers, but how it would be done if every participant held their data private, then it's still impossible to limit it in this way. So go on.
Yeah, what if we have users only join the DNA of people they know and require all DNA members to approve every new person joining? And then inside this DNA, we still post only anonymized data. And then if someone wants to join you on the route, they they show up themselves, sharing some data about who they are, and if you agree, then you can talk and you both have data about each other. So the key point here is that anonymization is done not just to protect you from all malicious agents, but just to remove additional leak of privacy for people with whom you already agreed to share your data.
Yes. I would like to continue this one. Okay, continue. Anything? I can add something.
That's all from my side.
Yes, it is in my mind that I think we are doing one mistake here. The mistake that we are looking at the geolocation like a Google map. What does it mean? It means behind the scene, our mind right now is centralized. What do I mean? It means I want to go home right now, and I want to go in the fastest way. What does it mean? It means I want to go to the city. So when I want to go to the city, I'm not living alone inside the city. I'm agent-centric. I want to go home in the fastest and the soonest way. It means the routing system. So in agent-centric, it means the whole city should be DNA in one use case, And all the inhabitants supposed to be agent-centric. It means in the use case of a routing or trafficking, it is telling us anybody who would like to receive a better traffic route and the best precise algorithm supposed to come to the trafficking DNA of the Cologne city. In that DNA, your location is going to be live and published to anybody else. In that case, we can find anybody and to track. So, but as soon as you want to leave, it means you are not going to share, just leave the city. It means, what does it mean traffic? Traffic routing, it means I'm in the road, I'm going to travel A to Z, okay? When I'm not traveling, I'm not inside the city, I'm outside. It means I need to leave a DNA. It means it is a use case, but use case, it means in a routing inside the city, it has its own DNA, our location or agent location definitely is public. It doesn't mean all my location, I want to travel, join the DNA of a city right now, start sharing, anybody else doing the same, we are going to tell you what is the best way you can traffic, you reached, yeah, you go home, you leave the city, close the DNA and go leave the DNA, that's it.
I think I resonate with what Hedayat was mentioning about that. It's more like an anchor, as Jim was mentioning. It's an anchor kind of a block where people are interacting with it and then pulling off information from the services.
Yes, by okay, Nastasia, you are going to leave. I would like maybe stay. Sorry, guys, stay. I would like to mention, hey, it is a nice topic. We can go continue brainstorming, or we can go and see how we can reach to the design. Do you have any idea? It means should we do something? Should we design something? Should go to the share file? It means right now we are talking. So what else? How we can reach to the code entry, anchor, design? Do you have any idea?
You were just suggesting a DNA per city, but that could be taken to any level. That could be like a DNA per landmark. A DNA for Northwest Albuquerque, a DNA for each thing you go through, so that the GPS coordinate essentially at some zoom level becomes the parameter to make a new DNA. Which I guess in different regions of the country, you use different zoom levels where there's a lot of, the city would have to be a little smaller and the country would be a little wider. But DNA per landmark, then we would get like we're doing for LEAP. One DNA per course means less fields per item.
I would like to add something interesting on that, Jeff, because I've been thinking on this. So as long as someone is willing to host that, because it's expensive, DHT and hosting all those kind of DNAs, maybe if it's like in that ways, or even if it's open also, hosting. It's all about hosting, right? As long as someone is willing to create that resource and host it, go ahead, provide the service.
I wonder, can it be made like in a different way? Which is my thought on Jakob's one, which is like so your source chain's kicking out a bunch of coordinates. You can salt that kind of regularly. So like, let's say daily, or like share 1 hour, share 8 hours kind of thing, a la Telegram. So like your DNA is kicking out coordinates and it has a salt on it per share. And then I haven't got this entirely figured out, but if you have these coordinates with a salt that then takes this base map kind of with all the regular coordinates a la Google style, but then you just salt them in your personal chain and then kick out coordinates and then resalt every time, does that not solve the problem? Food for thought.
I'm sorry, just to clarify, the problem of anonymizing the data?
Yeah, so that like, yeah, that anonymizes your data, which then gets a map superimposed on it rather than your data onto the map. So you bring the compute, the map to the data.
Right, but then you don't have any way to do that the other way if you want to match your route against other routes. So yeah, you can encrypt with some salt and do cryptographic tricks on the data, but then others can't read it, so you can't match.
Well, you could just provide the salt for a given time period via a capability to whoever wants to use it. So if I'm sharing with you, I just provide you the capability to read the salt for the hour. No?
Right, but then I think that doing it as in the DNA, controlling the membrane of the DNA is a more efficient thing because you don't have to go giving capabilities token to everyone to match, because you share everything on the DHT, and once you boot up the UI reads all the data on the DHT and does the matching. So you don't have to go ask every agent in the DHT for capabilities tokens. Because here, the thing is that you don't know who are you going to match with. That's what the algorithm is needed for, right? So if you knew who you're going to match with, it's as easy as throwing a direct message or something like that. Compare the routes and say, yeah, let's go. Yeah, just my thoughts.
So in that case, maybe I'm misunderstanding something. Then why are we sharing our locations publicly? Like,
one of the goals of Anton is to be able to share car travels, for example. So, hey, you're going from this place to this place every day, and I'm doing the same thing. Let's only use one car, something like that.
I
But,
guess.
but what George is talking about can be also useful for different kinds of applications. So, like a different form of GPS handling module, it's also interesting.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, sure.
And also, I just wanted to add that it's a communal resource, right? We are creating. So it's like if we are sharing like data, we are creating a communal resource that people can use. Then it's a community, a network can use. And also, I wanted to add something to Anton's use case. The route, as you were discussing, it's like we can even look at it from a way of currencies. It's definitely an interesting way perspective of looking at it as currency that can be traded.
But isn't it then the same as when Google is trading our personal data?
It is,
Or
but now you're doing it in a different way, right? You are taking onus of hosting it, processing it, and then sharing it anonymously through, let's say, third party or whatever that is. But it's like you're taking on that ownership of it as a communal resource that you're creating. Everyone takes their own, like they share their own pieces of research, and whatever they have collected, they share it with others, as well as they own it, having their Holochain running, their machine computers processing those data, stuff like that. Just a thought.
And no need to continue, Anton. I see your sensitivity. It is off topic right now to share blah blah blah. It is not right now that topic.
what? I don't understand what you're saying, Hidayat, but
It means the topic about area share that you can analyze it, sell it out, blah blah.
I
It's
don't know. I can't relate because there have been already 4 or 5 different approaches to this discussed, so it's getting mixed for me.
I see. It was exactly, I wanted to jump inside right now to say, from the GPS topic, I myself see a really broad topic. So, as I mentioned, there are a bunch of use cases. What do you need about the GPS? Traffic routing, your location, dating website, Google Map, business, shop, a lot of, I think per use case we need to go for a specific solution. Anonymity, how much anonymity? Does it make sense? We return back to the nature and we recognize we did a smoking. When we did a smoking, all around the world know that, hey, I'm here. So it means use case by use case is different. Personally, I would like to say we can wrap it up because it is endless ongoing topic. I would like to say, what is your suggestion to centralize or accumulate all your idea? It is up to you, Anton, how you would like to receive our support. Continue this discussion to the forum thread. You would like to ask others to help you to design, because personally I would like to, personally, just take it personal, I'm not telling everybody do. I don't have feeling to continue this endless topic about the GPS because it is a lot. Do you have any suggestion? We can come to your forum, write a post, we can design something. What is your suggestion?
Yes, as you said, we can continue the discussion in the thread, and for the people that will have time and will be interested, we can do smaller calls about every different approach separately, I guess.
I would give a, sorry, didn't want to interrupt. I would give a piece of advice here, which is focus on a specific use case and a specific functionality, like 2-3 user stories. The user tracks the GPS and stores it on the Holochain, and query and share, maybe. That's it. And do a small design about that. And then we can iterate over that. That's what I would do.
I resonate. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, can I add to that a little bit too?
Sure.
I think, yeah, I totally agree that focusing on one use case, and also maybe focus on what the requirements that you absolutely have to have. For example, like let's just say like privacy. What is the minimal like requirements? What has to be what has to be kept private? What would be nice to have? So sort of prioritize like what's the absolute have, and then when you do the design, you can go back to validate, whether your design are actually upholding what absolutely need to be there.
Yeah, so basically write down what conditions for what use case are interesting.
That's good. Anton, would you? I would like to add that any other time, next week, the week after, any time, please you are always here. You can open the topic, you can update, you can reopen. Please do not think that it's finished. I would like anytime I'm telling to bring this topic back, that please do not think there is a window, it's gonna be finished, closed, we talked about GPS. No, Anton, anytime, please reopen the topic, share with us what was the progress, do you need help, or etc. It is Hackalong. It means anytime, any discussion, it is open.
Yeah, thanks for the encouragement.
You're welcome. Anybody, please, if you are in a design, just open your topic at any time, how much time do you need, please? Jim? Go, Jim, go.
If we're done with Anton, I think we were finishing with his thing. Thank you, Anton, for sharing that. It's interesting to hear all the discussions.
Yes, Anton, it was great, and personally, I really would like to see that if anybody else gonna ask, hey, I have an idea, GPS, we would say, Anton, look, it is the Anton was busy with the GPS, go to Anton. Just please keep the energy high, please.
And Alex.
Don't forget, it's a form of centralization going only to me for GPS.
No, I'm just kidding. You are gonna be a guru. You are gonna be there. Come on, I'm telling that you warm up with the topic.
I wonder if Anton and Alex have talked, because Alex had all those ideas during the dev camp about the dating, like the dating with the GPS. So maybe the two of them should have a powwow.
Yeah, I haven't seen Alex on the forum or in any video calls for a long time. So, but yeah, I will try to reach out to him.
So I had a real small, I think it's going to be small technical question. Maybe someone can answer for me. We reached an understanding in the last couple of weeks that it's hard to say in general what's the latest version of this data out there on the DHT, because of eventual consistency, you can't really tell. So we have the the anchor pattern. But I was wondering on your local chain, can you tell what's the latest version of something? Like if I wanted to have an anchor that was like I wanted a version number. I want to know what version number I'm at for something. I could go to my local chain. Can I find out, like, if version number is the anchor, can I find on my local chain what's the latest version number? And then that could be done remotely if someone did a remote query one of these remote bridging things. You could come to my chain, you could find out what Jim thinks his version is.
Yeah, so very interesting. First thing is that actually the update chain on the DHT is pretty clear, in the sense that you may not see the latest update that sub-user has clicked because it's validating or reaching eventual consistency and so on. But this is the same in centralized systems. So in centralized systems, if you are doing a query here and an update here, maybe the query arrives before. So it doesn't see the update yet because the update is not finished processing in the server or whatever. Holochain maintains what is the entry status, and one of the entry status is updated to this entry. So actually, we can all agree eventually about the update chain of an entry. That's not the same as not knowing which update is the latest. Or am I understanding this wrong?
Well, I understand what you're saying. Maybe I wasn't clear. Here's an example. If I ask of what I was wondering, if I have a Git, if there's a Git remote, and I want to know what's the head of this branch at that Git remote, right? Then I want to get back a version, and I know that's the head of the branch at that Git remote. And yeah, maybe someone else is going to update it, but then that'll happen after. I'm going to get back the head of the branch. And I was thinking that my agent, I'm kind of like a remote. You guys could ask me what's the head, but you couldn't. But if I just put out, this is my project name and this is the version that it's at, then we have all these validation problems. And I wanted a way to be able to put in, what's the head of my what is, like, rather than just asking the DHT what's the head of the XYZ project, I could specifically ask the agent. I could say, I want to know what Jim thinks is the head of the XYZ project, or what does Lily think is the head of the XYZ project. And then I was like, could that be done with the local chain? I mean, can you find everything that we've been talking about anchors and all? I heard someone say last week that you can't do links into the local chain, and I was like, well, what is that exactly? What is that restricting me from? Can I find out the head of my project?
Like here, yeah, you can ask a source chain with a send receive message, but there are two limitations. One is you can only do this if there is only one agent that can update that entry, because otherwise I'm going to be asking you, but maybe another agent has updated the entry and you don't see it. That's one limitation. The other one is you have to be online. And in the DHT, that's not the case. So just to be clear, in the DHT, you always have what is the latest version of this entry. But it may take some time from the moment that the user clicks update to the DHT seeing that. There's some lag there, depending on how long is your validation. That's not to say that Holochain is not agent-centric in that way. Every user doesn't see a different update. All users see the same update, eventually. Am I making sense?
Jim, it is your question that if somebody is going to update the entry in the middle, it means before head, yeah? Am I right? Did I get your question? It is my understanding about your question. Please let me know if it is true. I think you are telling that it is the agent, okay? It is the agent. So the DHT, it is entry are connected. You know, the update is receiving this one. It is not the chain. It means it is the chain of entry. It means this one is updated to this, is updated to this, is updated to this, and right now you are going to send the update on this one. It was my understanding about am I right? If I wrong, I can stop.
Oh, well, yeah, that's related. I know, like, we had all those questions about idempotent updates and what happens, you know, what's the sequence of updates and how to determine which piece of data is the most current.
Okay. If it is,
if I asked us, if I required that instead of talking to the DHT, if I said, well, I don't want to talk to the DHT, I'm willing to wait until Hidayat comes online. Then I want to specifically talk to Hidayat to his, you know, and ask his local chain a question, because then I know that I'm going to get an answer that's been completely resolved and it's not waiting for any eventual updates, because I've waited for Hidayat to come online and his local chain can only be in one state at any time.
So in that case, we can use DHT as a signaling. You can signal me that whenever I'm there, I can ping you, signal you, and go for the direct communication.
Yes, but that only is the case when only one agent can update the entry. And maybe that's the case, maybe not. So if me and Hidayat can update the entry, it's not enough to ask Hidayat. You have to ask me, right? And so, and at that point,
his chain?
sorry?
If you keep, only he can update the entries on his chain, right?
No, it depends on the validation rules of the entry.
So I can update entries on your local chain?
No, you can update entries on the DHT that I have committed.
Yes.
So it goes like this. I commit an entry. That entry goes to places, first on my source chain, and then on the DHT. And in the DHT, it has a little status metadata, which is live. Because right now it has pass validation. Anyone that queries the DHT, it's going to find that entry. Right now, you go and you go update that entry Guillem is created, update it to this new version. And imagine the validation rules are okay with that. Nothing gets to me, nothing gets to my source chain, because you are not actually interacting with me in any way. Your update of the entry flies to the portion of the DHT which contained the entry and marks it's not live anymore, it's updated to this one. So maybe there are some cases in which it's better to ask the source chain, also the agent, but in general, I think it's safer to go the DHT.
Jim, can you share your scenario, because it can help us to support you better? For example, can you tell it is my application, it is the business rule, I'm going to do that, and it is the conflict, and it can help better, I think.
I can, but I think I'm not. I think I will do it next week, because I thought I was further along in the formulating of the question than I was. I thought it was going to be a quick answer because I thought I had the question well defined. But I didn't. So I'll take another week. I'll think about it and I'll ask you next week. Thank you for being patient with me.
Don't worry. It is happening. It is even to Yemen. I will start designing application. After 2 hours, we recognize, it was the topic. We were supposed to do something else. So it is the beauty of a holochain, honestly. Don't worry. Just if you come with a real scenario, somehow we recognize that, oh, we need to go to the nature and the things that we want to implement it. There was a conflict about the solution. You know what do I mean? It means maybe we can help to change the solution in a better way. It was my intention. So, almost 2 hours, like always. Hey guys, any other things, any important things, just to tell you that we have a bunch of nice topics. I didn't even start look at my face. Anchor first, single entry application, lip update, design of lip. Woo! Like always, we have no enough time.
Can I just ask one thing?
Sure.
Okay, so we early on, Natasha and we were discussing this breaking the LEAP project into multiple DNAs to make it, I guess, more modular in a way. So what about, I know that LEAP has this requirement, but DNA communication.
I couldn't hear you. Anybody
I don't know
else?
how, if you have.
Lily, would you please repeat?
Sorry, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Right now, yes.
Okay, sorry. The inter-DNA communication, if we have many more DNA that need to cross-communicate, is that, oh, sorry, can't hear, sorry.
Cut your video, turn off your video, camera actually.
All right, let me do that.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, I'll try again. The inter-DNA communication. Can we just talk a little bit about that? Is that minimal overhead?
For today, from my side, because I'm working on LEAP, yes. For my side, today it's a lot. Can we postpone for the next week?
Sure.
Because honestly, I'm tired. The topic is a little big, and if we are gonna start, we are gonna continue for 30 minutes, I'm sure.
No, that's perfectly fine, actually. Yeah, that's perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you. Just add it to your list, please, Sadaya.
Sure, I'm gonna update you. Sure, yeah, I'm gonna add to it.
Lily's question was about how much overhead is involved in doing these inter-DNA bridgings, I think. Was that your question, Lily? The amount of performance overhead?
Right. That's right. That's my question. And anything around that, just topic of inter-DNA consideration would be good to discuss here.
Yes, I wrote it here, Lily. I wrote.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So it seems nothing. Gian, would you please end up?
Why? Okay. It's okay. Thank you everyone for joining. We'll be doing all the updates on the forum that we talk about. We'll be sharing the video recording as well, and nothing. Awesome to have you here as always, and see you next week. Hope to hear about all the exciting updates in the Holochain community as always.
Thanks very much, guys.
Thanks.
Always good to be here.
Bye bye.
Have a good one. Bye.